Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you're all having a good day. In today's episode, we are going to go out in search of some gold because I would like to set up a piglin bartering facility. I want to set up an area where I can barter with piglins pretty much non-stop to get all of the useful stuff that they provide. And in order to do that, we need to acquire a reasonable quantity of gold. There are ways to farm gold infinitely in Minecraft using zombified piglins, but we're not going to get to that quite yet because having mined out that whole chunk of the world over at the mountain that we've done in the last little while, I decided that we should go and take a look at where in the world to find gold. Gold is something that we found relatively scarcely in that one chunk, and there are places in the world, if you've seen that ore distribution graphic I was talking about so much in the last episode, where you can get hold of gold in much larger quantities. We've got a reasonable amount of it right now. We've got blocks of gold, some of which were scavenged from nether portals, some of which were just acquired from all of the gold that we've managed to smelt, but gold doesn't occur in huge veins in the same way that copper and iron do. Instead, a good quantity of it can be found in one very specific biome. And no, I'm not talking about the Nether, although you can still get Nether gold ore at the risk of angering the local piglins. No, instead I'm talking about Badlands. I guess it's more accurate to call this a family of biomes than just one biome, since there are a few different types of Badlands that can form throughout the world. There are eroded Badlands as well as these wooded mesa plateaus with, trees on the hilltop and that kind of thing. And Badlands are kind of unique in the sense that they have very specific ore spawning. The only other place that has a unique approach to ore spawning really is mountain biomes with emeralds. But in Badlands, you'll find gold spawning as commonly as iron does. This Badlands biome here may not be the best example because it has a couple of surface caves that lead down below the surface here. We might be able to dig a couple of gold veins out of this, but naturally it's a relatively small area, so the area that we have in order to find gold ore down here is fairly reduced. Swimming down through this aquifer though, we come out into a cave that's got a lot of action in it. Okay, we need to be on our guard a little bit here, but as we explore the caves underneath this Badlands, we should start to find a decent quantity of gold. We're underneath the wooded Badlands area right now, and gold should start generating from Y32 on down, but here we are standing at Y31, and above us in the ceiling is a pretty decent vein of gold. But underground, it's kind of difficult to tell exactly where we're in the Badlands biome without having the F3 debug information up on the screen the entire time, so I think I'm going to go in search of a larger Badlands which will hopefully have some gold generating on the surface we can see. We do have a section over here on the edge of the desert, and this is the eroded Badlands I was talking about, which forms larger spikes of terracotta, reaching up in more jagged formations like this. As far as surface gold and caving prospects go though, this one looks a little bit similar to the others in that we don't see a huge amount of stone generation higher up, so we're not going to see as much gold generating in this area. Finally, after flying around for about an hour, I find a Badlands that I can sink my teeth into. This thing is pretty large, actually. We got some eroded Badlands around the outside and some pretty hefty plateaus around here from which we could get plenty of terracotta, but of course that is not what we're here for. We're here to check out the caving opportunities, and boy, does this place have a few of those. We're going to try and swing around to one I spotted earlier. Yes, over here by the desert. Of course, the desert divot here is not going to have the gold generation that the Badlands does, but just a few blocks inside of here as I was flying over, I did see that there were a couple of veins of gold just sat around on the surface. I mean, there's an example right there. We're at, what, Y50 right now? And the gold is clearly just sat up there. We're also going to find that potentially if we get into higher elevations in Badlands, the gold is going to generate in a big block of linear generation in the same way that coal does in mountain biomes elsewhere in the world. Of course, I would prefer if it were slightly more accessible than this and came with fewer hostile mobs, so I'm going to take another look around here, refresh my fireworks from my ender chest, and hopefully we should find a nice bit of surface gold generation. And here is another great opportunity for that. Badlands biomes have a chance for an abandoned mineshaft to generate as part of the biome itself. They generate higher up than they typically do in the other regions of the world, and that's because these can open out to the surface, allowing for easy access for mining opportunities, especially if you want to go mining for terracotta. But as you get deeper into the Badlands, plateaus, you'll often find areas of stone generation inside the plateaus themselves, and these are ideal locations to look for gold. Here we go, got a little bit of gold all around here. We'll grab some of that. That's nice and easy to grab at, yeah, Y64, so we're at sea level right now. We'll even get a few abandoned mineshaft chests from in here. Oh, a diamond, very nice, I'll take that. I'll grab the coal as well, because I need to make sure I keep torches on me as I go around here. Unlike the abandoned mineshafts that you'll find elsewhere in the world, these generate with dark oak supports instead of regular oak, so it's kind of going to stand out against all of the bright colors of the terracotta around here. They do still have cave spider spawners as well, so you'll need to watch yourself while you're down here. But if we go further up into the heart of these Badlands plateaus, if we take a look at our Y coordinate right now, we're at 106, and right down there, we can see it if we take a look through the spyglass, we've got some gold generating. That's probably at about Y80. Yeah, standing where we are right now, I can see some gold in the wall. We're at Y86. Yeah, that's actually a little bit lower down than I thought. But once again, gold in the walls over there. Plenty of gold dotted around this cave. This cave literally is a gold mine. We could go mining for gold in here for hours. The main thing you've got to do is dig down through the layers of terracotta that will generate on the surface in order to find the areas where the world starts to generate as stone. And once you're there, you'll find ores like this generating in larger numbers. So we're going to try and do a little bit more gold mining around here. I'm going to grab a few of these easy veins in the walls and the floors, and I think after that we're going to head back to spawn and we're going to discuss what we're doing with all this gold, setting up a piglin bartering farm. So after a bunch of time spent mining in the mesa, I came away with 2 stacks of raw gold blocks, a couple of gold ingots and stuff from the mineshaft chests, even a little bit of diamond ore and diamond for our trouble, and I couldn't resist picking up some glow ink to stash it up here. I need to do something with this one of these days. But anyway, we're going to smelt all of this stuff probably in one of the blast furnaces or something I've got around, and we're going to substitute it with a reasonable amount of gold that I've already got inside of here, just for the sake of this episode going a little bit faster. Yeah, that's close to 15 full stacks of gold ingots. I think that'll probably do us for now. Let's head on through to the nether. And this is where we get to take full advantage of the fact that the nether spawn in this world is around a crimson forest, because we have lots of piglins around here already, and if we throw a gold ingot on the ground, they're going to get very excited about that. Then one of them's going to pick it up, and they're going to throw us something in exchange. This is piglin bartering. It's a mechanic that we explored briefly in a previous episode. There we go. Lad gave us some nether brick. What a lovely dude. So naturally, one of the things we can do to make sure this bartering process works out pretty regularly is make sure there's a hopper around for the piglins to throw the stuff into, and maybe even a dispenser to dispense gold out for them so that they can keep retrieving the gold, inspecting it, and giving us some new stuff. So we're going to set up an area probably actually on the way out to one of our other builds, and we'll end up with row after row of piglins all the way down here who we can just chuck gold at whenever we want to, with a chest somewhere that we can put all of the gold ingots into, and a dispenser system that's just going to chuck the gold ingots at them automatically. And while a couple of blocks of nether brick might not be everybody's idea of what they want from piglin bartering, there is a bunch of other stuff we can get. I think there are about 16 to 18 items, something like that, that you can get from piglin bartering. It's a lot of different stuff, including some things that it isn't possible to get renewably any other way, like quartz. Not necessarily the quartz blocks, which we can get from stonemasons, but the quartz items that we use to craft redstone components. And I've been thinking it was probably about time to bulk craft some redstone components for circuitry and stuff that we could use a little bit later, and we need some nether quartz in order to do that. Piglins will also barter gravel to you, which is a really great way of getting hold of gravel if you don't feel like going mining for it in the oceans or the mountains or anywhere underground. They'll also throw us fire resistance potions and enchanted boots and books. The boots aren't necessarily going to be all that interesting to us, but the books can be applied to our own boots, and that's the only way you can get hold of soul speed, aside from getting it from a chest in a piglin bastion, which I believe we've done before. The circuit we're working with here is going to be relatively simple. The piglin is just going to stand in a 2-block high booth, and instead of a log in the floor here, we're going to have a hopper like so. This dispenser will be activated on a timer, dispensing a gold ingot every so often, and that will dispense a gold ingot to the piglin here. Before the gold ingot has a chance to fall into the hopper, the piglin's going to grab it in his hand, inspect it for a second, and chuck whatever he wants to barter into the hopper on the floor. The hopper's going to pick it up, and it's going to be transported into a chest where we can sort all of the items that the piglins will trade us. And when this lot are done hunting hoglins, we're going to try our best to lure them in. Now I'm thinking we need to build this a little way back from the path that I've laid out here, but I kind of want it to be on this diagonal path down to our dripstone cave base and the savannah village and stuff like that. So we're going to build this into the floor here. We're going to have a chest here. It's going to have 2 hoppers facing into it, one here and one here, and that's where the 2 piglins are going to be standing on either side of that. This chest is probably just going to act as a buffer of sorts, and that's going to take all of the stuff that these piglins throw, push it down into a filter system, and we're going to have a sorter that's going to figure out what all of these items that the piglins give us are and where to stash them in a series of chests filtered the same way our storage system is. In between these, I think we're going to go with a crimson stem aesthetic. In fact, crimson wood is probably going to be part of the decor for this entire thing, and I think it's a nice thing to have the tunnel through the crimson forest decorated with crimson wood. We could put planks up in the back of here as well, and then all we need to do is make sure there is something on the front of this, maybe like glass or something like that, that allows us to see inside where the piglins are. Our dispenser is going to face down over the top here. We'll probably have a hopper facing into the top of this, and then we'll have a redstone running along the side to activate both dispensers at once. Now, naturally, these piglins are going to need to be made persistent by something because they would normally despawn if we got 128 blocks away from them, so that's where our faithful supply of name tags from fishing needs to come in handy. And each one of these piglins is going to be named Bartleby. Now, it's going to be a little bit risky for me to do this because the piglins do get mad if you break a chest nearby, but I need to power both of these hoppers at once, and we're going to try and lure the piglins into this area. You see, of course, when we lock the hopper won't actually receive any items, and so we can lure the piglins into this space by throwing a gold ingot onto each one of these, and then we'll put a glass block in front of them, making sure they can't get out. Preemptively, I am going to put some glass in place here, but now all we need to do is find and lure some piglins over, and it can't be the baby piglins because they'll just pick up the gold and not do anything with it. We need some adult piglins. And if you want some piglin attention, here's a foolproof way of getting it and then immediately losing their aggro again. Take off whatever gold armor you're wearing and stand around somewhere near them, and then put it back on when you're ready for them to chill out. There we go. As soon as I put my gold helmet back on, this piglin was totally fine. And as long as we can lure in another guy, I think this guy with the sword seems like a willing contender. Come on down here, buddy. There you go. Looks like he doesn't mind the fall damage. Let's see if we can get his attention by taking that off as well. Yes, there we go. Okay, we've got lots of piglins following us at this stage. Now, where did that other guy go? Honestly, they wander off when you're not looking. I guess I could throw a couple of gold ingots on the ground to make sure they're following me. And of course, the little one immediately picks it up. Okay, well, we'll deal with him later then. Come over here. Come on. This way. This way. Yes. Okay, right. Well, we've got 3 of them right here. Let's see if we can trap 2 of them in these little trading booths that we've set up. The problem right now is we've got 3 of them, but we do seem to have the attention of the other one, and oh, the little one just keeps running in and picking up the gold ingots. Come on. All right, the little piglin is proving to be a problem, so I think I'll probably just, maybe dig him into a hole right there, and then let's see if we can get the other's attention by throwing these in place. There we go. We've got one who's going to end up in that booth. Maybe the other guy is going to see that gold ingot and give us a chance. Come on, it's only there in the hopper. Yes, there we go. We got them finally. Oh my goodness. All right, well, 2 of our barterers are already in place, and we can name these 2 by looking at their legs with the name tags. Can take out that lever, which will actually allow the hoppers to push items out again, and we can place the chest back here, and then we can close that off with glass to make sure they don't see us looking at the chest. And they might actually see us if we end up opening this thing up. Ah, no, they're good. Okay, fine. That's excellent, actually. Now you can see if we put some gold in here, and we activate both of these at once. Let's do the same trick that we did to lock the hoppers. Let's put a block up there, and let's just flick the lever once. It dispenses a gold ingot to both of them, and both of them should now drop those items into the hoppers, and that ends up in the chest below. Fantastic stuff. I am feeling a touch paranoid that I didn't name tag that guy, but no, I did. Okay, excellent stuff. So now we should just need to load these up with hoppers that will transmit the gold to each of these, and we should be good to go. They do still notice through blocks when you break a chest, though, so we do need to keep an eye on that, but we can open these chests totally fine. And now we just need to lock off these 2 hoppers over here and do exactly the same thing, tricking 2 piglins into walking in there with gold ingots. One option we have if we don't get too many spawns over there is simply to fly away a little way until some of the other stuff around there despawns, and then fly back, when hopefully we should start to find a few more piglins spawning around here. Yes, a family appears to have spawned. Well, this guy with the gold armor looks like he's got all the gold he could possibly want, but piglins are a little greedy and they're always going to want more. So let's throw a gold ingot on the ground over here, and of course the junior goes to pick it up again. Well, that's probably the end of you. All right, we'll see you later. It's nice and easy to lure lure them over here at least. It's just a matter of keeping them going in the right direction, because once one picks up the gold ingot, the other one needs something to pay attention to, otherwise it's going to run off. Yes, we got them in. We've got them both in. Fantastic. And now, once again, we can disable this switch so that the chest can go back in place, and all of the stuff that they've dumped in the hoppers will go into that chest. Perfect stuff. It does take a little bit of finagling. I did have to go back and get a bit more gold, and I think we can probably refine this process somewhat. I also maybe want to swap out the glass for something that looks a little bit more stylish. I think the clear glass looks a little bit out of place here in the Nether. But we can certainly help the whole thing fit in with a few more of these planks around the place, and I think maybe we need to refine our method for getting the piglins into these cells. But all we need to do is make sure there's a row of hoppers along the top here, and because it's diagonal, that makes things a little awkward, but all we need to do is throw a few blocks alongside this, and a minecart rail could deliver all of the gold ingots to each of these hoppers. Then along the back row, all we need is a redstone wire running to these two blocks, like so, and if we give that a redstone signal using one of these blackstone buttons, tossing an ingot into each of these dispensers, we just have to press this, it dispenses 4 ingots all at once, and all 4 piglins give us something that they want to barter. Looks like we got a bit of blackstone and some spectral arrows from our guy over here, and looks like we got some blackstone and obsidian from these guys, so that's pretty good. We're also getting ender pearls from these, we're getting soul sand so that we can make more soul campfires, or even use that once we get soul speed. Obsidian and crying obsidian, that's a pretty decent way of farming both of those blocks actually, so honestly, I think this is going to be a really good setup for the foreseeable future. Oh, and before I forget, we need to name tag these 2 newcomers to the system, because we haven't given them name tags yet. Welcome, Bartleby and Bartleby. In the interest of making this whole process a little bit easier on myself, I'm going to try a different approach this time around. We're going to try and lure the piglins in through the top of this, and we are still going to lock the hoppers to make sure that nothing goes into them in the meantime, but we can do that by means of a lever down here, which will conceal underneath that, and we'll have the chest in place already so that we don't have to break and replace these blocks in front. Now we've got a couple of candidates, one over here, and it looks like he's on the way, and one over here as well. He'll probably take an interest if I throw a gold ingot within, 8 blocks. And now, can we throw 1 gold ingot into the hole down there? Yes, okay, that one's now in. We're going to have to find a way of placing the dispensers a little bit later. If I put this gold ingot up there, then yep, he's going to try and climb that. We should be able to nudge him in slightly, and yeah, this is definitely better than trying to ambush them with a glass block shortly afterwards. Welcome once again, Bartleby and Bartleby. Now, we do need to make sure that the dispensers go upside down over their heads, so we're just going to place a few blocks back here. We'll put a block there to make sure this guy can't just walk out. We'll replace this glass block here in a second. We just got to place a dispenser facing downwards. Okay, that's a much easier way of doing things than how I was doing it before. So 1 block on top of the glass here, remove this glass block, grab the dispenser, place that facing downwards. Lovely. Okay, that's much smoother. Except I kind of feel like I've messed up the pattern here by not having these 2 1 block further back. Yeah, I'm never going to unsee that. We're going to have to redo this. Yeah, it turns out working with piglins in a crimson forest is not always the easiest thing to do, because they can sometimes get a little distracted by the fact that they have huglins to hunt every so often. But we should be able to lure at least one of these piglins up here and into the remaining cell of our bartering station. It looks like this one's actually going to push another one in with him if we're not careful. Hey buddy, go in here if you can, please. Yes, there we go. All right, didn't even have to toss something in there after him. Fantastic. Well, this is Bartleby number 8, and I think that's where we were going to call it for this setup, although we'll probably end up adding a couple more to it as we go here. And we'll try and make sure we have an open block above each of these so that we can add in those dispensers. Now let's break out the glass here, a dispenser there. Perfect. That's all in place. All of these are name tagged so they will not despawn, and we have a pretty well set up row of piglin. Now we have to set up a clock that's going to dispense gold ingots to each set of piglins in turn, and each of these 2 sections of redstone wire, simply 5 pieces of redstone wire, once it receives power, should transmit power to all of those dispensers. Just going to try and make the farm design a little bit more symmetrical. Yeah, there we go. That's got it more or less covered. We'll do a little bit more decorative work on this later, I think. Now, the way I would like this to work is so that we have a minecart loading station over here, basically. We're going to put all of our goods all of the gold ingots into a chest minecart, and that's going to go off down this line of hoppers. Now that's going to require a powered rail down this end, and then the rails are going to alternate side to side like this. They'll come to a stop at the other side over here, and hopefully they should keep momentum all the way down here if we give it enough of a boost at the start with our powered rail. Once it hits the other side, it's going to hit another powered rail. This one's going to be more permanently powered, and that's going to send the minecart all the way back down. So if we attach a lever to this block and pull it, hopefully that sends the minecart all the way down to the end, and it sends it all the way back again. Perfect. So that should deliver all of the gold ingots to every single hopper in this line, hopefully. And wow, okay, just got lifted by this hoglin. All right, let's recover from that. Let's recover from that, and we'll chuck the gold ingot into here, and we'll check each of these dispensers just to make sure that they receive the gold ingots. But it looks like the chest minecart should roll over the top of all of these hoppers. Yep, it's delivered all of the contents, all right, and it seems like all of these piglins should now be... Oh, hello. I forgot about that. The piglins aren't too happy about me opening the chest minecart either, so we will have to be a little bit more diligent about fencing this area off from piglins from the outside, because any loose piglins in here are going to be bad news. But yes, it looks like each of these dispensers now has 5 gold ingots in it, which is perfect. We got 6 down there at the end because it managed to deliver the last ingot there on its way back. This one here only has 3, which is curious. I wonder if it's just not dispensing them into these hoppers. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we'll need to extend this around a corner just to make sure it has a little bit more of a straight line to follow over the top of these hoppers. Either way, we'll put the chest minecart back down there. We're not going to touch that for the foreseeable future. We probably just want to check that these piglins can all receive gold ingots at roughly the same time. And we're going to time this out using our old favorite, the Etho hopper clock. An observer is going to detect the output from our Etho hopper clock. It's going to face into this piece of redstone dust, which is going to connect in this kind of W shape all of the dispensers here in this setup. We're going to build this clock slightly differently to the one we built before. We're going to have the 2 hoppers facing into each other in the middle as before, with the comparators either side of those and a dot of redstone dust on top of these blocks on either side. But this time, the sticky pistons that are going to be pushing the redstone block back and forth are going to be on top of the contraption instead of to one side of it. The clock works exactly the same, it's just oriented vertically instead of horizontally. And now we're going to try and time this out so that we get a decent amount of ingots delivered to these piglins. So we're going to start off with 32 sticks. Contraption should activate. We'll get 1 pulse to the circuit here in just a second. There we go, 1 pulse. All of the ingots should have been delivered to the piglins, and they're all going to throw them now. And now we wait, because it looks like we probably need a lot fewer sticks in there to time this out. Yep, there we go. They all got delivered another gold ingot, though, so it's working pretty well. From the looks of things, I'd say we need less than half the amount of sticks in there. So I'm going to remove 16, and hopefully the idea is that as soon as they throw the items on the ground onto those hoppers, they're going to get delivered another ingot pretty much instantaneously. And that seems to have worked across the board. As soon as they throw... Ah, did they just run out of ingots? I think they did just run out of ingots. Okay, well, a few of them didn't get any gold there, and it got me a little bit worried. But now all we need is a master switch for this clock, a way to shut the farm off once it's done running. And we also need a lot more gold to put in the farm so that these piglins can continue trading. So I'm going to throw all of the other miscellaneous bits and pieces that we shouldn't need any more of into here. We're going to craft another lever that I'm going to use maybe temporarily to turn this thing on and off. Once this whole thing is closed off, we can probably just have the lever somewhere down here and have it run a redstone line out to the clock to disable it whenever we want to. But I'll shut the lever off there for now. That should activate 1/2 of the clock permanently and prevent it from running in the meantime. As long as there aren't any more piglins around who are going to get annoyed at me for doing this, I'm going to fill this minecart chest up with gold and send it on its merry way. Hopefully, it should reach the other end of there, turn around, come on back, and at this point, hopefully, it should be delivering an equal amount of gold ingots to every dispenser in the row. Yep, that's looking promising. It looks like it's delivering as many as it can. Perfect. And of course, we could put this into a similar setup to our auto smelter. We could have this be a hopper minecart. Since the piglins are okay with us checking redstone components like hoppers and dispensers, we could even have the gold input to the farm be a dispenser with a hopper underneath, and you could load 9 stacks in at a time without the piglins worrying about you directly opening a minecart chest. fast. And then, of course, the hopper could deliver the gold to the minecart chest, and the minecart chest could just do its thing. But once again, I'm planning on spawn-proofing this entire area, so we shouldn't have any random piglins wandering around here inside my Nether Hub area anyway. Okay, and now it looks like there is no more gold going into the dispensers, and hopefully all of them should have been topped up with a healthy amount of gold. It's time to start the farm going, and let's see how much equipment we can get out of this, how much interesting stuff that these piglins are going to barter to us. It looks like the gold is flowing through, and as soon as they throw everything, there we go, they immediately get delivered another ingot. So 16 items in the hopper clock seems like the ideal amount for their bartering cycle. They'll all throw the items on the ground pretty quickly thereafter, and it looks like this guy, for whatever reason, isn't getting the items, and I wonder why that is. I'll take a quick peek in this chest, and it does look like a couple of gold ingots have come through, but... oh, I think some of the gold ingots might actually be delivered to the guys on either side. That's kind of unfortunate, actually. It's being picked up by the ones next door, and so there should be a couple of gold ingots going into one of these chests somewhere. Yeah. Oh, well, that's unfortunate, because I guess they can pick stuff up on the diagonal, meaning that this guy here is unfortunately going to have to move, because the piglin next to him is greedy and keeps stealing his stuff. Oh, well. And it looks like we got a couple of gold ingots, yeah, coming into one of these because the same thing is happening. But if you take a look at the overall yield of this farm, I've turned the clock off around the back for now, so we don't have to worry too much about this. Look at what we've got here. There's a bit of glass in there that was just left in there from the build process, but we've got some obsidian, some ender pearls, a bunch of fire resist potions, some nether quartz. A couple of these even have the enchanted books in here that I was talking about. We've got some soul speed in there, soul speed 1 and 2. We might even get a soul speed 3 book from these folks. And perhaps most importantly for me, they're trading us things like quartz, gravel, blackstone, which makes blackstone a perfectly renewable resource as well as abundant elsewhere in the nether. We're even getting renewable spectral arrows and stuff out of this deal as well. So I think this is pretty fantastic. We are unfortunately going to have to rebuild this farm, and that's something that I don't have time for today, but this is the essence of the bartering setup, and maybe we should just not build this thing on the diagonal. It was a little bit ambitious to try that out in the first place. I'll put it somewhere else in my nether hub though, somewhere nice and prominent that these piglins are going to be able to barter as soon as we step out into our nether hub. Folks, that's where we're going to leave it for today. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. I do hope you've enjoyed this look at gold and bartering with piglins. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you folks soon. Take care. Bye for now.